You aren't
Yeah.
gonna be great if you just don't learn from failures. Michael Jordan would not have became Michael Jordan if he hadn't have got cut by his junior high team.
Right.
And so I would just tell people, you can use that, everyone can use it. This is what I tell my players, move to the next play.
Yeah.
Learn and move to the next play.
That I need that on a shirt. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our community news desk, sponsored by Sure. I'm Karuana, and I cannot help but be excited about the segment we have for you today. On the show, we like to bring you the makers that are making change out in the world. And I have a very special guest today here, live from the Microsoft 365 Community Conference in Orlando, Florida. Chastity, please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hi, I'm Chasity Melvin, former WNBA All-Star pioneer, coach, on-air talent, and I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, we are excited. This is my moment to try to control my fangirling because everybody out there's like, look at what she's doing. It's fantastic. But you've had an opportunity to be at the conference, to really soak in a lot of this. Tell us a little bit about your impressions about everything that's happening here at the community conference.
Well, first of all, I love the community. I love the community, and I felt really welcomed here. Now, I was a little nervous coming down because you guys box athletes in, like we're not the intellect. So I was like, I'm gonna be around so many smart people, but they've been so engaging, and I've been learning from you guys, and I hope that you guys will learn from me as well.
Oh, yes. I absolutely think so. We've been talking a lot about success being a team sport. And I feel like there's so much that we actually share, but we don't get a chance to actually talk to one another because we're also boxed in. Like, we're the nerds, we're not that chatty. Everybody knows that's not true about me. But nonetheless, I think that those are kind of preconceived notions that don't really serve us in the real world?
Yeah. No, they don't. I mean, obviously, being part of a team for in my entire career and then coaching a team, the quote is, there is no I in team, but there's an I in win. And what I mean by that is that you are great at your role within the team in order to win and reach that common goal.
Absolutely. That is so true. A lot of times people don't understand that professional athletes are really business people who are awesome at sports also. I know that you've made a transition from being a player and then you became a coach and you're also honor talent. Talk a little bit about that evolution because many of our roles in tech are changing and it's stressful.
Yeah, it's stressful. I've obviously had a little bit of anxiety because you have to be uncomfortable. You have to learn how to be uncomfortable, and that was the hardest thing post-retirement. I was so good. Basketball came easy for me. I was super talented. And then another thing with former athlete is our career. I'm multifaceted, multicultural. I played in 9 different countries. I couldn't translate that on paper. So entering the working world, my resume was like, you played for 14 or 20 years, but what else did you do? And I did so much, but I didn't really know how to translate that. And so you have to be adaptable.
And I love that fact because I think that people have a lot of AI anxiety right now because they don't understand their own worth or know how to communicate it. How did you overcome that? How did you start to share all the different experiences and what that means to you as a professional?
Well, what I'm learning and hopping in on some of the sessions and what I'm hearing is everyone is kind of like boxed into their role. Like you have product over here, you have marketing, and then you have Caruana who does it all. So you're able to adapt. Me in post retirement, I had to learn to embrace it instead of like hearing the negativity about like Chas, you're just a professional ball player. What can you do? Instead of blocking out the negativity and just learning to embrace the challenges, embrace the journey. And it's so true. And with AI, it's happening in the basketball world with analytics. Like coaches are just like, oh, you don't need coaches anymore. You don't trust their intuition. You still need that human component because you're going to miss out and you'll miss seeing the gaps of where analytics and the new AI data kind of miss.
Absolutely. That is a really important point. I think people are afraid of being quote unquote replaced because there's a fantasy about what AI is good at. But AI is best when it's empowering people to do amazing
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
That's why it's called Copilot, friends. Okay. Like this is the one
I
thing.
love it.
Microsoft may not always be great at naming things, but this time we really got it right because it's sitting next to you. It's supporting the capability you already have. You have been such an amazing player, and your career is really inspirational to so many people. Tell us a little bit about the way that you think about what's next for you in terms of you're coming into the technology world, but you've actually already been here because you've gone through so much of this transition. When you have to become great at what you do, how do you focus? How do you do that?
Well, it's short-term goals. I feel like with athletes, what I learned is we play quarter by quarter. And the fourth quarter is where you have to dominate. So you go into the first quarter, you kind of get a feel of the coach's system. You make adjustments in the second quarter, and then you get a halftime. Like I feel like in the corporate, talking to my friends in corporate, those breaks are needed. Like you don't want to get over exhausted or over consumed. So you have halftime, then you come back in the third quarter and how much energy you have. Usually the player with the most energy in the third quarter, they win that quarter. And fourth quarter is just like all your skill sets, everything you've learned. That's how you embrace it. And so that's how I go into learning more about tech, transitioning as a professional athlete post retirement. I tell all the former players that are retiring now, like we're in constant transition because we have to find our next career. And new AI is really helping me. It's been a lifesaver for me.
Oh, I want to deep dive on that, but I also really want to focus on what you just said there because what I heard was almost like the accelerated product development cycle that we have because you have an idea, you go out, you execute it, you're playing with it, but you're also making adjustments. You're getting feedback and you're
Yes.
making changes to the plan. And I think sometimes we have a hard time in tech actually doing that
Yeah.
and doing it at the pace of change that you're already used to, right? You already have to do this in a very focused way. We're kind of learning to do that
Yes.
actually and be more flexible and then come out and push as it is needed.
Yeah.
As a coach though, how do you develop players to be able to do that well and then be ready to deliver when they need to?
Well, first of all, as a coach, you have to build trust. You have to build trust with your players. You can't just tell them what to do. You have to now, in this era, you have to align with them. You have to listen to them. And so you have to make each player on the team feel valued. And the greatest coaches, they find what each player brings to the team. And there's like, I heard in the last session I was in, like you have your low potential workers, I guess, and then you have like your rock stars. It's the same on a basketball team. You have the last player on the bench that may not get in the game, and then you have your rock stars. But every person on that team has to feel important, and that's what you find with the teams that win the championships. Everyone is valued on those teams.
Right, right. Inside Microsoft, we call that a Thrive score, right?
Okay,
And as a manager, I'm actually measured on the thriving score of my team.
okay.
And it's compared against other people's scores. And we use it as a development capability. Like, where do I need to invest more? Do I need to listen more? Do I need to make sure my team has breaks? Because the other thing I heard you talk about was not being overextended, not being exhausted. How do you think about that and really marshaling your abilities? Sometimes I think that sports and I think tech is an endurance game
Yes.
over the course of a season, right? And who can really sustain that energy over the marathon? How do you think about that mentally?
First and foremost, you have to be positive.
Mhm.
You just have to stay positive. And what I feel like athletes, why I feel like they're great in post transition or even playing, even from the last person on the bench, is the ability to move to the next play. I feel like in corporate, when you fail, everyone is pointing. It's not me. It's not me. No one wants to lose their job. In athletics, when you fail, we just get right down to business. Okay, why did I fail? You look at the scout, you say, oh, you find trainers, try how do I develop a skill set so I can be better? So we don't get lost in the I failed or okay, you lose one game, you got to get over it. The next 24 hours you have a next game. So we're really adaptable and we're able to stay positive even with failures.
I really need to take that away. I think because that's a big cultural change in many organizations. I think, Microsoft, we've done a really good job of making that kind of growth mindset change. But I see a lot of companies struggle with that desire to cast blame during failure rather than to learn from it and build skills the way you just broke that
You aren't
down.
going to be great if you just don't learn from failures. Michael Jordan would not have became Michael Jordan if he hadn't have got cut by his junior high team. And so I would just tell people you can use that. Everyone can use it. This is what I tell my players: move to the next play,
Yeah.
learn and move to the next play.
I need that on a shirt. I at least need that on a sticky on my mirror in my bathroom. That will be happening sometime soon. You won't be seeing that, but it's gonna happen, I can assure you. So let's take a moment to also talk about being recognized. You've had this illustrious career, you've gone through these transitions, and it's such an important time.
Mhm.
But also, it's important to be recognized and compensated for what you do. I know that the WNBA just landed a fantastic collective bargaining agreement. Tell us a little bit about that process and what it means to the players themselves.
Well, what it means first and foremost is that they have gained the respect. Overall, now their voices are being heard. I was a pioneer and we were the thought leaders, as you guys like to say at Microsoft. We saw the vision ahead of time and we played for the love and passion, but we were out in the communities. We were building the fanship that is now exploded. And now with the new CBA, it's now recognizing the players, but it's also building the infrastructure and allowing the world to know that women's sports is here to stay, especially with WNBA. And so I was happy that the NBA and the WNBA could come together and that NBA was at the forefront of paying the players what they're worth, but not only that, giving them the respect and the value that now you see across the infrastructure of the world in women's sports.
One of the things that impressed me that I almost wish we would embrace in technology also is the retroactive compensation for some of those original veteran players, really acknowledging the work that you did. It's not just the players today or the future players, but everybody that's gone in to build this juggernaut, frankly, that the WNBA and women's sports actually are. So I love that inclusiveness that I saw. Was that hard won or automatically understood?
No, that was very hard. It was very hard for them to recognize the pioneers of the game, because the fans. There's a lot of new fans, so right away you want to focus on what's new. It's just like with new AI coming in. Well, who bought this? Or like it's not what Microsoft has built from the beginning with their growth mindset, like and their vision. And so I love that the younger players, because they looked up to us, they didn't forget about us. They understood what we did and the path that we created for them to be here, and they didn't let that slide when they got in that boardroom with the NBA and the WNBA and the negotiations. So I love that they're paying it back to some of the players. It's going to be tremendous for them. And so, when you forget about the past, sometimes that hurts your future. And so I love that now that you can connect the pioneers of the game to the current players, and it's just going to ascend even further.
Absolutely. And the other piece of that is sometimes we forget in this kind of social media driven world of, doom scrolling on our phones that we're actually part of a continuum of human existence.
Yes.
Right? We're part of something bigger than ourselves already. And I think that we forget about that somehow. But I bet that you don't when you're coaching people. I can imagine you're a spectacular coach. Tell me something that you had to learn as you went from player to coach in terms of your style or the way you think about the game. Like how does it, because I know as an individual contributor, sometimes I'm just thinking about, hey, what I'm delivering and what I'm doing, I'm building my skills, what have you. But as a coach, it's you've already said it's so different.
Yeah.
What did you have to change to be a great coach?
Not only am I holding myself accountable as when I played, but my team is now holding me accountable.
Oh, yes.
My players are holding me accountable every day. And the consistency that I have to bring day in and day out, win or loss. Like as a player, if I lost, I could sulk. I can make it all about me. But as a coach, win or loss, I have to be consistent and I have to continue implementing the culture that I want, the system day by day, day by day. So the players hold you accountable, and that was probably the toughest challenge.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that's not just me. Oh, I'm so thrilled. Yes, I do. I feel beholden to show up really well for my team. I want them to know that I have them and that I care about them. And yes, we are going to deliver and win together. But whatever happens, I'm there and I'm
Yes.
going to continue to be there because, that trust is really the cornerstone of that. Well, I would sit here and have this conversation all day long, but I know that we have a limited amount of time. Is there one thing that you'd really like this collection of people who are driving forward in the future of AI to know about what they can do?
Well, I would just encourage people to embrace the new technology. I would like to also give a shout out to all the great leaders. I feel like what I'm hearing from a lot of my friends in corporate, the leaders sometimes just get consumed with the power. And don't I'ma just be real with you. Don't get it twisted about the power, okay? Because your main job is service to those underneath you, okay? And realizing their potential and embracing their potential and not leaving them behind.
100%. 100. That is the heart of workforce transformation. Being of service to the people who are on your team, bringing them along in the journey, and making sure that this change actually does benefit everyone. You couldn't have said it better.
Thank
And
you.
we love it when you're real. So we're going to have you come back and give us some more real talk. I can't tell you how fantastic this interview has been. I hope you found it the same. I'm Caruana with Microsoft, and this is the Community News Desk, bringing you stories from all of the various community events that we go to. If you want to go to a community event near you, why go and visit communitydays.org. There's one nearby. They're fun. Many of them are free, and we can't wait to see you there. Take care.